Hi ladies, I want to talk to you today about our words and how our words can either be used to uplift or to cut. Now, words today are often used as weapons, and this is a challenging thing that we're seeing in our world today. But one of our innate gifts as women is around communication. And this is a gift that we are meant to use in a way that is towards the good, that is towards helping people heal, helping uplift, helping empower, nurture, rather than to use words as weapons. Now, I just want to give you one example of a word or a phrase that is being used as a weapon today. And that phrase is toxic masculinity. It is implying that masculinity is toxic. And yes, of course, we know that there are men and there are women equally out there who are toxic people, who are expressing in very negative ways, who can be very aggressive, very damaging in their behaviors. But masculinity in and of itself is not toxic. We need masculinity in this world just as much as we need femininity in this world. And to label masculinity or femininity as a toxic thing starts to use those words as an attack towards people who embody the principles of masculinity or femininity. This starts to then create all kinds of angst and antagonism and judgment, and we're not going to heal the world that way. So if we want to heal the world, we need to learn how to use our words towards good, towards positivity. And one of those things is to start recognizing that masculinity is divine. Femininity is divine. These are aspects of creation that come from the universe that are in their essence divine and good. And we want to honor and uplift and acknowledge the goodness in these principles. And as we do, we're going to start working towards manifesting more of the goodness of these energies rather than the toxicity that people can get into in these energies. So we want to use our words to uplift. We have to realize that words weave magic. They say in magic that all magic is spoken, and by our words we are actually impacting this physical density of materia. So we want to be really conscious of the words that we're using because they create an impact into this world, into this physicality. They express an idea. So there's always an energy and an idea behind the words, and then they express that to have a direct impact on this physicality. Now, when somebody says words to you that are cutting, that are critical, that are negative, how does that make you feel? Usually it makes us feel like we have to guard ourselves, or we feel hurt by them, or we feel diminished by them. Whereas if we use our words to uplift, to acknowledge the goodness in something, to inspire, to empower, we feel, oh yeah, that feels good. We feel uplifted by it. We feel, expanded by it. And so we want to really be mindful of how we're using our words as women, as people in general, but again, women were the birthers. So as we weave the words and then we express those words into the world, that is a part of how we birth things into this world. And as we speak, so shall it be. So we want to really be mindful, be conscious, be intentional with the words that we are using. And don't use words as weapons. Use words as empowerment. Use words to uplift. Use words to inspire, to encourage. And as we do, whether we're talking to other women or we're talking to men or anyone, we're talking to children, we're talking to elderly, whoever we're talking to, if we're using words that are going to encourage, that are going to acknowledge the goodness that we see in someone, that are going to give a compliment, they're going to uplift, or even if we have to give some critical feedback, it's not necessarily about what information we have to deliver, it's about how we deliver it. We can always give that feedback in a way that is still empowering versus just cutting somebody down and trying to obliterate them. So our words are really important, and I want you to recognize that words are like magic. The words we speak will create manifestation in the world. Realize that your tongue, which you form your words with, your tongue is like a sword. And that sword is double-edged. And it can either be used to cut and to destroy, or it can be used to defend and to bring, valor and positivity into the world. So it cuts both ways, and we want to really, if we're going to be of the light and we want to bring healing and beauty and goodness into this world, then we want to be weaving words and using our tongue or our sword in a way that really is to defend the light, to say no to that negativity. And we need to be really careful about that. So if you are someone who, you feel strongly about something, then go ahead and express it, but also realize that people don't have to agree with your perspective on things. And it's okay if they don't agree. I mean, we're a world of diversity, and that's good. We're not all meant to fit into the same box. And yet, if we want to have people have, more acceptance or more tolerance towards us, then we need to give that as well. If we want people to be treating us with respect and kindness and acceptance, then we need to be giving that respect and kindness to others who are different from us as well. So we need to give what we want to receive and start really weaving words of positivity, words that are delivering discernment and, maybe using the words and the logic, but in a way that is also cutting through the noise of today. Find the Hermetic way, the Hermetic ray, which is about purity and universality. That it's not about what color you are, it's not about what culture you're from, it's not about your age, it's not about your gender, it's not about any of that. It's about universal principles of creation. These can be our guiding posts, and when we can learn to recognize those universal principles, it'll help to guide our words and help us also cut through the fray in a good way. That sword can be used to cut away ignorance. That sword can be used to cut through the darkness to bring the light. That's how we want to use the tongue or the sword and our words in this world, so that we can cut through that darkness and that ignorance or that misunderstanding that's happening in our world today, and bring light, bring clarity, bring purity and power within our words. And this is going to have to do with both our ability to listen and to acknowledge, to maybe reflect from what you're hearing them say and reflect it back. Is this what you're saying? If I'm understanding you correct, this is what you're saying, so that they feel heard. I think that's, a really important piece, is that the other person wants to feel heard, so that they can then go, yes, okay, now we can move on, rather than they're constantly having to repeat the same thing because they don't feel heard. So first of all, communication and conflict resolution is going to relate to listening, actually hearing what somebody's saying. Even if it's different from what you believe or what you feel, you want to hear what they're saying so that you can try to understand them. If we want to resolve a conflict, we have to find common ground. If we can't find common ground and we can't, put ourselves in the other person's shoes and have some empathy for where they're coming from, there's never going to be any resolution. So first we need to step into a place of empathy, putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, really trying to understand what they're saying, listening rather than just arguing and cutting them off and talking over the top of them. So communication, and good communication, is going to be listening as well as speaking. So when you have a conflict, listen to what they're saying and say, so is this what you're saying? Ask questions, get curious. Am I understanding you correctly? Would you maybe say this? Is this a good way of summarizing what you've just said? And am I understanding you? And then, okay, I hear that, but here's something that I feel. And rather than just talking at it from your mind, really try to connect into your heart, because your heart is going to help guide us towards finding union and finding a way to mediate between two different perspectives or two different poles. And so speak from your heart rather than just speaking from your mind. So try to tap into your heart. And when I say your heart, I'm not saying emotion and breaking down into, how you feel. It's more about, what is your heart really trying to express? And within your heart, you're actually connecting to your soul. And through your soul, you're connecting to your spirit. So what is it that your spirit, the essence of you, is really trying to express here? Because this is going to be the part of you that's coming from light versus the part of you that's coming from ego or personality or subconscious patterning. We really want to connect in to what the heart has to say. And when you can just take a breath, just pause, take a breath, touch your heart, tune into your heart. What does your heart want to say here? What would love say? What would the light say? What would bring healing to this situation? How can we find common ground? How can we, mediate to come to a place where we actually are in cooperation or agreement, or at least understanding each other? Because in the heart, we're all going to have very similar core human values. But when we're in our ego, we're in opinion, we're in emotionalism, we're in different perspectives, and we're in individualism. But in the heart, we're in a place of connection. We're in a place of common humanity. And that is the place where we can say, okay, I understand that you are a person, you're human, and you feel very strongly about this perhaps. And there's something underneath this that, maybe there's a core value that's underneath what it is you're trying to express here. Rather than it having to be my way or your way, I'm right, you're wrong, or you're right, I'm wrong, the heart wants to find a place of mediation, a place of maybe we can find creativity and bring that creativity in to our conversation. How can we both feel good? How can we walk away from this situation and feel good? Rather than compromise, I know that in relationships, dynamics, the old, sort of wisdom would be like relationships require compromise. And maybe in the old paradigm, that's true. But in the new paradigm, relationships require creativity, where we can come up with win-win solutions, where we can come up with, we can get creative, we can co-create, and we can come up with a win-win solution that everyone feels good about. And that is now going to shift us out of it being about, well, he said, she said, or you said this, and I feel that, and all of these kinds of things, to it being about how can we get into solution, and how can we find a creative solution that we all can agree to and that we can all feel good about. And that's going to require getting outside our box, right? So to get outside our box, we actually have to listen to other people's perspectives rather than just label them and judge them and shut them down and, make them the antagonist towards you. If we actually listen to the other side, and it gets us a little bit outside of our box, and we're willing to stretch our thoughts around things, then we can start to find a way where we can think beyond that box and find those creative win-win solutions. So give that a try the next time that you find yourself in an argument or in a conflict with anyone else in your life. Now, one final thing that I want to address when it comes to our words, I want you to think of your words as like seeds. And when you speak those words, it's like you're planting that seed. We could say, weaving the magic or whatnot, but you're planting a seed. And in your relationships, think of your life as a garden. And the people who are in your life are like the plants in your garden. Or the words you speak to those people are, maybe you're pruning the tree, maybe you're planting a new seed for some new growth, maybe, you're harvesting, but think of all that you create in your life as being plants in your garden. Now the question is, are the words that you speak, the seeds that you plant, are they ultimately going to be seeds that grow trees and beautiful flowers and fruit and bear good fruit? Are they going to be healthy trees? Or are they going to be seeds that are based on negativity, and then they're going to be poisoned, and then they're maybe going to wither and die before they really have a chance to bring their full fruition into your garden? So you really want to be very conscious again of what seeds are you planting, what words are you speaking in your relationships, in your life, in what you tell the universe that you want to create, because the universe is always listening. And whether we think it's listening or not, it's always listening. So the words we speak are always going to create and manifest, and the universe will respond to that. So be very choosy in what seeds you plant in your garden. Now, in addition to that, really be careful about what seeds you're planting within yourself. The inner terrain, the fertile soil of your own being. What words are you speaking to yourself that are planting seeds within you? Are you saying I can't? Are you saying I can? Are you saying I'm beautiful? Are you saying I'm ugly? Are you saying I am empowered? Are you saying I'm a victim? So be very careful again of what seeds you're planting within yourself, within your soul, that are either going to grow and produce the life that you're now creating around you, or they're going to bear beautiful fruit. They're going to become a beautiful tree of life for you, so that you can bring that fruit and those gifts of you into the world. So I hope that this has helped give you some perspective and some insight on communication and how we use our words, how we want to use them with great intention to uplift, to defend, to bring light, and to cut through the darkness, cut through the ignorance with our words. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and feel free to share it with anyone else that you think would benefit from hearing this, or that you think would enjoy it. And if you have any other topics that you would like me to be addressing on this subject of women's empowerment, feel free to leave that in the comments below. We'll see you next time.